Well, you can sense the excitement. We're only 3 hours away from the first and only vice presidential debate. Governor Mike Pence and Senator Tim Kaine, well, they're going to have to walk a political tightrope as they tout the top of their tickets while tearing down each other's records. Now, I want to go right out to Connell McShane, who joins us from the debate site. Connell, fill us in.
Hey there, Charles. Well, this night, let's be honest, like the whole campaign will really be about Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton as much as their chief surrogates, their running mates, Mr. Pence and Mr. Kaine will be making their respective cases this evening. And as you say, it's their one and only opportunity to do that. They'll most likely be talking about either their own running mate's agenda or taking shots at the opposing side. Now, to that point, Donald Trump at a rally there that was held in Arizona in the last hour had this take on the evening.
I want to send our best wishes to our great Governor Mike Pence as he prepares for his debate tonight. Great guy. The debate will be a contrast between our campaign of big ideas and bold solutions for tomorrow versus the small and petty Clinton campaign that is totally stuck in the past.
Stuck in the past. So there you see the contrast. The Trump campaign is planning to build. Mr. Trump's next stop will actually be in Las Vegas, where he will be, and I quote from his own Twitter account, watching the great Governor Mike Pence and live tweeting the VP debate starting at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. That's when the live tweets apparently will begin. Trump telling us all to enjoy. And when a top Clinton campaign official was told here in Farmville about the plans for Trump to live tweet the event, the response was, "Oh, good." I'm going to tell you, these Clinton-Kaine officials seem quite confident going into tonight, given how the last week has gone. And the expectation here is that Mike Pence has the pressure on him. That's what the Clinton officials keep telling us over and over. They think he has to change the narrative. They question about whether he'll be able to do that tonight. So they're quite confident that Tim Kaine can score some points or at least keep the Trump-Pence campaign on the defensive. Now, the only advice we're told that Secretary Clinton had for her running mate, Tim Kaine, before this evening was to, quote, be yourself and to also tell our story. So they like where they are, Charles, coming into tonight, given the last week or so in this campaign.
All right, Connell McShane, grab yourself a nice seat of popcorn. I'll be joining you later on along with the audience. And we're going to discuss this right now. The vice presidential nominees are going to duke it out at Longwood University. It's actually a short distance from where the final chapters of the Civil War unfolded. Hillary Clinton winning that battle right now in the polls. The most recent, or the average right now, have her at 42% versus Donald Trump at 35%. Let's bring in our panel to discuss. Fox News political contributor Tammy Bruce, Democratic strategist Blake Rutherford, and senior reporter for the Washington Examiner, David Drucker. Tammy, let me start with you.
Yeah.
The stakes, to Connell's point, feel maybe a little bit higher for Governor Pence, considering what's happened at the last debate and a shifting of momentum since then.
Look, I think that it immediately is in Governor Pence's favor, this entire event, because this really is about, for the Americans who don't know, give you a sense of the judgment of the presidential candidate. Everybody knows Hillary. We know her judgment is awful. We know Tim Kaine is an ultra-liberal. He'll be more of the same. He was head of the DNC. He's part of the bureaucracy. Donald Trump is out there. People still want to get to know him and about his judgment, and they're going to make a judgment call based on his choice of Mike Pence. He's going to be very impressive. He has a talk radio background in television. He knows what he's doing.
So you're saying Mike Pence is going to be selling Mike Pence rather than Mike Pence selling and defending Donald Trump?
No, he's selling Donald Trump's judgment that he is that good. At the same time, his big job tonight is to prosecute Hillary. We know the FBI won't do it. Hillary has to be prosecuted. That is what he needs to do, what didn't happen in the first presidential debate, and make it clear to the American people the problem that is Hillary Clinton.
You know, Blake, to Tammy's point, Hillary's dodged quite a few bullets, and we just saw a press conference with her where more of the same sort of softballs, but that can lure you into a sense of false security. She's got a lot of pep in her step, and she's got that shimmy going full time now, but could that actually backfire on her?
Well, I don't think it's going to backfire on her. I think the challenge tonight for Mike Pence is to come up with a better performance than Donald Trump could ever possibly put together. His first debate was a disaster, so all eyes are, of course, going to be on Mike Pence. He has to find a way to explain Donald Trump's very bad week, and he's got to find a way to help the Trump campaign. The Trump campaign is sliding. They're sliding in Florida. They're sliding in Pennsylvania. They're headed in the wrong direction, and there's not a lot of time left. So, yes, Tammy's right. This is a big moment for Mike Pence, but not in nearly as positive a way as she thinks. Pence has a very tall order tonight and a very difficult job.
David, again, this is going to certainly be one of the most watched vice presidential debates. How do you see it unfolding? What are the keys for you?
Well, look, what's different about this debate than the presidential debates is these two gentlemen are defending their nominees, and they're advocating for their nominees. This is not about them. And usually these vice presidential debates are a window into whether either is qualified for the presidency if they would need to step in. But we already know that by and large, these gentlemen are qualified. Governor Pence is a former congressman. Senator Kaine is a former governor. So they've got the resume and they've got the governing chops. And therefore, it really, I think, becomes all about Trump and it becomes all about Clinton. But one thing I think we need to keep in mind, there have been memorable vice presidential debates and moments within these debates in the past. They usually don't move the needle all that much. So if there's no major gaffe, if there's no major mistake by one of the nominees, then the victor goes to the campaign that currently is ahead. Really what you want to look forward to is Sunday night, the next presidential debate. Right. That's when this thing could really change again.
But Tammy, you disagree.
Well, look, I think that this is going to go to, again, it's set, the table is set for this to be beneficial to the Trump campaign because people are still learning, actually, about Donald Trump. And this is one of the evenings with which to do that. And no, Mike Pence is not going to spend the night defending Donald Trump. There's no reason to do that. He's going to go after Hillary Clinton. He must. They might want him to be defending Donald Trump, but that's a false construct. And Pence is not going to do it. He's going to make sure everybody knows what the problem is with that nominee and where he stands on some of the issues, which is a very good conservative, realistic point of view on many of our issues.
There's a line that the Trump campaign has been using about Hillary Clinton focusing on petty things. And does Mike Pence take that baton and sort of bring it back to broader issues, broader pocketbook issues, foreign policy, the big broad strokes that we typically decide who the commander-in-chief is going to be?
Well, in this faux press conference she had, she completely misrepresented, took out of context Mr. Trump's comments about our military and PTSD, and that's a very good example. Here's a woman who left 4 people to be murdered in Benghazi, then lied to those men's families, and she's going to take out of context Mr. Trump's sympathetic remarks about our military and PTSD. Right. That's the pettiness. That is the condescension that she has for all of us. And that, I think, is what Mike Pence is going to be able to point out tonight.
You know, Blake, you referenced the polls earlier. I think one thing that we have seen for Hillary Clinton is that when the topic becomes Donald Trump, particularly Donald Trump, who's tweeting and going off the rails a little bit, her numbers go up. But what if the narrative is back on these issues? What if the narrative moves away from that? What if Pence is successful in getting the American public to re-engage with the big, larger issues that typically determine whether or not we're a powerful nation, we're a prosperous nation?
Well, certainly that's exactly what Mike Pence hopes happen. Unfortunately, his own worst enemy, Charles, right now is going to be Donald Trump, who's already said he's going to spend the entire debate tweeting. He should be in Florida or he should be in Pennsylvania campaigning. He shouldn't be hanging out on Twitter. So I don't think it's realistic for us to think about that this debate is going to end up that way because Trump's going to say something ridiculous on Twitter. He does it every day. That's going to overshadow this debate, and that's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. It'll be unfortunate if Mike Pence has a good night because I don't think it's what's going to drive the headlines tomorrow morning if Donald Trump spends his whole night on Twitter.
Well, and you could be right, but that's what's interesting. That's what the media would want to have be the point as opposed to the larger policy issues. They want it. They'll stick also to the petty points that they think will distract. That's an excellent
Well, then let me ask you this, David.
But Donald Trump's gonna make that possible for them.
Well,
I think there's nothing you can do when
no, he won't.
He's going to be live tweeting, but you know we already had crazy comments coming into the day, David Drucker. Obamacare, Hillary Clinton's husband, Bill Clinton. He made the case for anyone who thinks this is an unmitigated disaster, and every day more and more Americans do. I want you to take a listen to what she just had to say about it moments ago, because I got a feeling it's going to be a central issue tonight.
Now, with respect to the Affordable Care Act, I've been saying we've got to fix what's broken and keep what works. And that's exactly what we're going to do. I am committed to making sure that people retain coverage that they can afford, and that is going to require taking on premium cost and deductible cost and prescription drug costs.
David, certainly the campaign was caught flat-footed once again by Bill Clinton. I mean, listen, the guy, I don't know why they keep sitting him out there, but nevertheless, I'm sure the Trump campaign, Mike Pence, has got to pick up on this tonight.
Yeah, look, I think President Clinton may have lost a step there. Look, Hillary Clinton has been saying throughout the campaign that Obamacare needs fixing. I think that that Mike Pence tonight and the Trump campaign in general will be well served to focus as much effort as they can on the Affordable Care Act. The challenge for them is that beyond repeal and replace, they don't really have a plan that people understand, if they have a plan at all. And one of the things I've learned from covering Obamacare over the past 6 years is that people don't necessarily like Obamacare. The poll numbers have never been that great for it, but they don't like the system that it replaced either. And the way you're successful as a Republican in making the case for getting rid of Obamacare and getting voters to come along with you is explaining to them that we're going to do reform, but we're finally going to get it right. And Trump has not talked enough about this and not talked enough about this in the right way for 5 weeks out before an election to be able to grab onto it as an issue that can carry him. And that's just the way I see that.
Hammond, let me give you the last word here. There are a whole lot of angles, if you will, that Governor Pence can go tonight. He can go after Hillary in personal things. He can go after Secretary of State. He can go after President Obama, his economic record, and things like Obamacare. That's a lot to cover in this short period of time. Should he have laser-like focus on one or two areas and pound away at them?
You know, there's one thing most Americans agree with, the supermajority agree with. America's on the wrong track, and we want change, and we don't like Washington. Every single thing he says and does tonight has to point to the fact that Trump-Pence's change, that they will that they'll, just by their existence, will change the dynamic, whether it's Obamacare or the military or the economy.
So it all comes under one umbrella, a broken and corrupt government.
But yes, run by broken and corrupt people, and that's why they win.
Let's leave it there. Thank you all very much. And of course, you guys, you don't want to miss Fox Business special coverage of tonight's vice presidential debate. First, Lou Dobb kicks off our coverage with a preview at 7 p.m. Then Neil Cavuto, he's got you covered with our expert analysis. It all begins tonight, 7 p.m. right here on Fox.